What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, a fantastic afternoon, a fantastic pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the HasanAbi broadcast coming to you live from sunny California, Los Angeles. I'm live and alive, and I hope all the boys, I hope all the girls, I hope all the NBs are having a fantastic one, because it is a beautiful day. It's a special day. It's the day that Kendrick Lamar drops his. I mean, it's been what 12 hours since Kendrick Lamar dropped his last album. What a beautiful experience. I think music listening is back. I think that's what I think. I'm officially calling it. I'm declaring it. Okay, it's time to listen to music once again. This is the summer of music. Okay. Now a lot of you are gonna probably say like, "What the fuck, Hasan? I've been listening to music nonstop. You fucking idiot." Well, guess what, dude? Me too. Now, okay. Kendrick Lamar did the worst thing you possibly could do, which is put yourself out there and actually talk in a very introspective manner about growth, about self-improvement, especially in a target audience that obviously sees him as an incredibly important person, an incredibly influential person, a target audience that might not even be receptive to that sort of thing. And he put himself out there, and he did an incredible fucking thing. But obviously, rad libs are probably going to be really fucking mad at Kendrick Lamar because he said the F word and stuff. Regardless, he will get fucking destroyed by like really conservative elements and really liberal rad fem elements as well. But who gives a fuck? As long as it bumps, that's what's important. Kendrick Lamar basically goes through his own personal journey of trans acceptance. Now, if you are familiar with this show in particular, if you're familiar with the HasanAbi broadcast, you already know that this is something that I talk about regularly. I try to use my own personal example of like being someone who had transphobic attitudes, who held on to transphobic beliefs and attitudes, and how I learned not to be transphobic as a way for a lot of people who themselves have transphobic opinions to no longer have that. Okay? Now, there's a lot of F slurs being used in the video itself, in the song itself, which is precisely why I believe a lot of people are going to get mad at it, and people are already mad at it, apparently. The song, from what I understand, talks about his aunt, not his aunt, but like the gender confirmation that his aunt goes through and turns into his uncle. Okay, there's gonna be misgendering while I describe this story, so like, trigger warning. Okay, and like the first half of it basically is just like him trying to come to the gender confirmation that both his aunt and cousin went through. Like, yeah, it's basically him like coming to terms with that, and also personally just like being not so receptive at first. Okay, imagine a white dude coming out as no longer racist, blasting some racial slurs. Yeah, I could imagine that, actually, as a matter of fact. I understand that. It's just that the same kind of oppression is still not the same. There is like one word that you're not allowed to say. The other is not, it doesn't have that same level of historical systemic violence to that same exact degree. It's still bad and it's still wrong, okay? But he's mentioning it while simultaneously showcasing that it was wrong to say. And actually, the point that you are literally saying in that, the point that you just made is the exact point that he ends on. To truly understand love, switch position, F word, F word, F word, we can say it together, but only if you let a white girl say the N word. Like, that is the ultimate message, is that this is something that he used to say all the time. Anyway, regardless, I think it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be, rap music is, and this is something that a lot of people don't understand for some reason, maybe because they're white, but rap music is a reflection of in most instances, if not almost all, at least in good versions of rap music, a reflection of black cultural attitudes, your black experience, okay? No, I'm like a white person basically describing to once again, a predominantly white audience. But a lot of you turned into fucking Ben Shapiro style motherfuckers the moment, okay? The moment that he says the F word, you turn into like a, why is he saying the F word? Okay, well, all of you fucking Pop Smoke, what do you mean? Like, the attitude reflected in Pop Smoke's music, okay, is significantly closer to the Norman position than anything else. And you don't have a fucking single problem, doing Woo Back Wednesday. But what? When Kendrick Lamar is trying to make a point about like how wrong that was, all of a sudden you're going to yell at him? What the fuck's wrong with you? I think Kendrick Lamar positioning himself like this as a cultural leader in his community and coming out and like using some of this language that is still very much accepted and heavily and widely in circulation and widely in usage is ultimately a part of his way of changing people's attitudes about it. You get it? The Conyer thread, very well done. Chat probably be more receptive to this point from them, even though the comments are a mess there too. Yeah, I mean, the comments are always going to be a mess. It's fucking, I hate this word, but allyship is always a fucking struggle. Kendrick Lamar voice, when I was in the 3rd grade, I thought I was gay. What? But in this community, what do I always say? What do I always say? When I'm talking about trans issues, I am not talking to trans people. You're trans. You already know your fucking issues. My goal is to not talk to trans people. My goal is to talk to transphobic people. Okay? What do I always say? So when I am talking about something from a framework that you consider to be inappropriate, okay, or a framework that you consider to be bad or wrong or not super careful, it's fine. Like, it's okay. That it's fine. It's not for you. Of course it's not for you. That's why I don't see myself into trans people's business beyond talking about transphobia. My goal is to not talk to trans people. HasanAbi 2022. Exactly. But then are trans people not allowed to be upset by this? No, you can be upset about whatever the fuck you want. But also recognize that in the broader context, most people are not going to be like me and be like, I understand your anger. I understand your frustration. Your life is never-ending combat. But you also have to, like, once again, recognize that, like, people are incredibly transphobic, something that you already know, right? And working through that, especially through cultural forms, and working against the systemic transphobia and the attitudes reflected in all of our structures is a long and complicated process. So anyone that comes out and tries to speak out against that overwhelming sea, when it's so incredibly easy to just be like, fuck trans people, and then have everybody literally clap for you and go, hell yeah, let's do it. Like, a person that, especially a person who is cis, trying to fucking comprehend it, understand it, reflect on their prior actions, and then even take the next step and be like, I'm going to try to help other people. I'm going to try to help other people and educate them through my art is an incredible thing. It's a beautiful thing. But once again, it's going to be messy. It's not going to be good. It's going to be, it's not going to be in the best way that you want it to be. Okay. But that's fine because it's not for you. Like, it's for you in the sense that it's still art and obviously you can enjoy it. You can, it bangs, you can listen to it, whatever the fuck. But it's not for you in the sense that, like, the main message is not to say, hey, like, look, trans people, I'm such a good ally. You know what I mean? When I speak out against transphobia, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing like, hey, trans people, like, look at me. I'm such a good ally to you. Like, give me the good boy points. Like, no, my goal is very specific. My goal is very specifically to address some of the most common misconceptions, okay, that even I had as someone who had transphobic attitudes. So that it's easier for you as a trans person when you come into this community next time to be able to just like shit post and have fun without fear that there are going to be people in here trying to dox and kill you or fucking harm you or deny your existence, as is the case in every other place on the fucking planet. Okay? So if you appreciate a space like this, understand that, you know, part of that is because like I do, in your opinion, a shitty job at dealing with it. A shitty job that nevertheless is very good at combating transphobia and changing transphobic people's minds. Yeah. So, what was your, oh, I'm looking at this all wrong moment in regards to trans people? I think it was just like having, like, being around trans people on the internet. Like, I think that's what it was. Like, having trans people in my community. You know what I mean? I think that was like a big, like, eye-opening moment for me. It was just like, because if you are super segregated and you're like completely away from, you know, out trans people, like if it's not something that you've ever like thought about or considered, like I always wanted to be open-minded, right? But even then, like I still had some transphobic opinions, you know what I mean? But that was what it was. And most importantly, it's because, you know, trans people are the best posters, I think, for the most part. Like they're just very good. They're very good at posting. So, and I appreciate that. Some of the best and some of the worst, and nothing in between. There is no mid posters in the trans community. Like either you're just literally fucking like one of those accounts where it's like they them, you know, DNI 18 plus, like, and you're just exclusively angry all the time at like allies. You're literally just like fuck this person, fuck that person, fuck this trans person, fuck this cis person, and you're just like only posting that. Or you're just like the most deranged, mentally ill poster, and therefore everything is primo content. Okay? There's no in between. I've only seen those two types of trans posters. Well, this is really your thing right now, this statement. I totally agree though. There were trans people who were upset about how Kendrick did dead naming in the song. Yeah. Like he's not the most woke motherfucker, dude. Like what do you think? Like you think he's gonna come out of the gate swinging with like critical, you know, gender theory or something? Like what the fuck do you expect? And also that's boring. You know what I mean? That's boring as fuck. Like oh, I don't know. Like yeah, it's not catering to your needs. Okay. Hearing T-slur, don't want to get yeeted by Automod at the bar by allies is gutting though. I don't know what that is. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like what? I mean, that's fucked up. Okay, so Conyer is a Twitch partner, and a trans NB talking about this. Okay, they're probably in here right now. I see them in here sometimes. Anyway, the song begins in the frame of a narrative retelling of events that happened in Kendrick's past with his trans uncle cousin. Here he explains how back in elementary school he was aware his uncle was trans and aspired to be like him in some ways. They had a good relationship. Okay, hold on. I'm going to change my title as well. I'm sure people are going to get super mad at me for this, by the way, regardless, because people always do. It's like a, and once again, if you're a trans person, like, and you're angry at me, like, I understand that. Okay, I get it. Like, I totally get it. Yeah, the world is shit. People are constantly, you feel like people are constantly attacking you. People are constantly attacking you in many places. And you want to turn around and like, you know, showcase your anger and your frustrations in a place that, you know, it matters. And this is a place where it matters because, like, this is a place where you think you can make a change. You know what I mean? But you can't. This is like one of those issues where I am, you know, this is one of those issues where I'm like, I probably will not change my mind at all ever. And, you know, you yourself can be upset, but you will always come back because you recognize that this is not a place that is hostile to trans people. It might not have the same metric of like a safe space for you, but it still is. You can't move on. Kendrick Lamar isn't an ally. He's part of the community simply because he's a 5'6" man. He belongs. He can say it. Okay, so the song begins with the frame of a narrative retelling of events that happened in Kendrick's past with his trans uncle cousin. Here he explains how back in elementary school he was aware of his uncle was trans and aspired to be like him. In some ways, they had a good relationship. My auntie's a man now. I watched him and his girl hold their hands down. Tip of the avenues, under the streetlights, made his thinking, I want me a bad bitch when I get big. They walked to the corner of California King, cold hand all up her skirt, cars whistling down the road. So I think like people probably are mad about like see my auntie is a man now as well, because that's like, you know, it's not the most careful and considerate way of describing a delicate situation, right? Hoping that she pull up tomorrow so I can hang out in the front seat. 6x9s keeping the music up under me. Young Kendrick asks his mom why his other uncles didn't like his trans uncle and his mom, who seem more accepting. Uses a simplified excuse to attribute their bigotry to jealousy, simultaneously delegitimizing their bigotry while reinforcing Kendrick's respect for his uncle. A lot of people have problems with Kendrick's use of the F slur here, but it's important to remember that the narrative frame the song uses. This becomes incredibly irrelevant at the apex of the song. He's speaking about how casual homophobia is normalized even in elementary school. So, like, he's literally using the term while simultaneously explaining that the term itself is like super normalized and super acceptable. And for a lot of people who are upset right now at the usage of the term, it's like, if you understand it, why are you still using it? Why are you still not filtering it? Well, I have really bad news. Like, really bad news for you guys, okay? In many places, it's still seen as acceptable. I'm just going to let you know, one, this is Kendrick Lamar's, like, artistic license. And two, him openly using it and openly, you know, choosing to say the word there, you know, it's still, it's provocative. And also, part of the reason why is because, you know, it's pretty fucking, pretty commonplace, okay? It's good that you have, you know, it's good that you have basically been able to sanitize the spaces that you exist in, especially on the internet, speaking like places like this, you know what I mean? Completely unacceptable. You can't do that. You know, that's great, but that's not how it is. This is not for you. Okay? This is not for you. It's like getting mad that white people use the N-word in Django Unchained. Yeah, exactly. Okay? So that part I hope people understand, okay? This is his own personal experience, okay? He is reflecting on his reality, his upbringing, the communities that he grew up in, and what the cultural attitude was in said communities, okay? Back when it was comedic relief to say the F word, F word, F word, F word, we ain't know no better. Elementary kids with no filter, however. Okay? Here, Kendrick talks about his respect for his uncle helped him start growing out of the homophobia/transphobia he grew up with, going so far as to use a similar tactic his mother used to delegitimize the bigotry expressed by his friends while gassing up his uncle. She wasn't gay, she ate pussy, and that was the difference. That's what I told my friends in second grade. So, the thing is, like, this is Kendrick Lamar talking about how his uncle, a trans man, is not gay. Like 90% of the fucking allies that you exist in spaces still don't comprehend that concept. So, like, if you think that Kendrick Lamar is like a homophobic or transphobic person, while he is depicting his own experience and like reflecting back in his art, his upbringing and development, I don't know what to tell you. Like that is a fundamental principle that a lot of people who want to understand gender and the trans experience can't even fully comprehend. This is like, you know, tier 3 trans acceptance shit, okay? You're over here mad at a dude who's doing tier 3 trans acceptance. Straight up. Now, this is condescending because here you have a white cishet guy telling you, trans people, not to be mad at Kendrick Lamar for using the F word or dead naming or whatever. Once again, it's not for you. This is for everybody else. Okay? This is for everybody else. When I'm speaking like this, when I'm explaining this, I'm also showcasing to other people who might be at the precipices of like unlearning their transphobic attitudes, okay, that no, it's okay. Like, people are not going to constantly, like, I was very fortunate. I had trans people in my life that were open-minded and welcoming and accepting and were able to take on the emotional labor, okay? And I think that, like, that was a big push that helped, okay? And I try to, at the very least, be like the person that will connect you as a cishet privileged person, if you are transphobic, to other people that are also going to be open-minded, and to showcase to you that, like, no, there's a lot of great posters in the trans community. There's a lot of people in the trans community that are not, like, going to immediately fucking, bite your head off for failing to automatically comprehend things that are things that require you to completely unlearn a fundamental truth that you thought was correct your entire life, such as the binary way of gender. Okay? Here Kendrick talks about his respect for his uncle. She wasn't gay, she ate pussy. That was the difference. That's what I told my friends in second grade. She picking me up from school. They stared at her in the face. They couldn't comprehend what I grew accustomed. We pull off bumping quick like it was nothing. Here he talks about his experience, incredibly positive relationship with his uncle, but importantly expresses how his uncle was the first person he saw writing raps, essentially saying that without his trans uncle's influence, you might not even be listening to this song right now. Okay? She even cut my hair at the pad. That was my love in my fade. The first person I seen write a rap. That's when my life had changed. Yes. So the dead naming and the like, as wait, hold on. What was it? Someone said it in the chat as well. I think Fizz brought this up. But yes, the dead naming is intentional. It is a narrative choice. It is an artistic choice. The dead naming is intentional, and also on top of that, the misgendering is intentional, because throughout the story, you are also starting to see what their perspective is. As Fizz said, the dead naming and misgendering is an intentional narrative choice. Exactly. Remember, guys, girls, and beasts, okay? Remember, art, the best kind of art, is a reflection of your realities, okay? That's the best kind of art. And reality is super fucking transphobic and super fucking homophobic, especially when someone is describing their upbringing and their development and their own culture and their own communities. There's gonna be fucking shit that triggers you. Okay? It's just how it is. When you need to explain a simple artistic message to leftists, I mean, it sucks, but it's how it is. It is how it is. The first time Kendrick's trans cousins mentioned, he talks about how his uncle's trans experience helped him inform his cousins, reinforcing the importance of trans visibility. We assume his cousin learned more about gender through Kendrick's uncle, solidifying similar feelings she had. My favorite cousin said he's returning the favor and following my auntie the same behavior. Here Kendrick dead names his trans cousin Mary Ann. Many have an issue with this, but again, it's a narrative retelling. Through the song, this line is repeated. Young Kendrick, out of ignorance, likely said this, not knowing the pain it caused. Its use is an expression of guilt. Demetrius is Mary Ann now. He's more confident to live his plan now. He goes on, again, like, immediately in the aftermath of dead naming, okay, he moves on to say that, like, transitioning, which is a fundamental freedom that trans people should be able to have at a time when, like, trans people are fucking literally under attack in, like, every fucking state, correctly, like, says that, through that transitioning, through that gender confirmation, like, she became, wait, hold on. Demetrius is Mary Ann now? I don't, okay, so his cousin is what? Was assigned male at birth, a trans woman? I don't know. I mean, it gets a little weird. It's a bit weird that he correctly gendered his uncle, but not his cousin, though. Or cousin is AMAB, male to female. Okay. So his cousin is a trans woman. Okay, so he's still misgendering her in this situation, but saying that more confident to live his plan now. He goes on to say that his family was more accepting of his trans uncle than his cousin. Holy fuck, this is okay, I didn't even recognize this. And that even though his family was shocked by the news, he wasn't. This could be because his experience of the trans issues given his relationship with his uncle. But the family disbelieved this time, convincing themselves he ain't living discreet, he's fine. They said they never see it in him, but I seen it. The Barbie dolls played off the reflection of Venus. Here, Kendrick talks about his cousin became more insular as a result of the pushback she faced because of her identification. The story at the middle school now, and the F slur comes up again, this time in the context of how he started to notice that its use affected his cousin negatively. He didn't laugh as hard when the kids start joking, F word, F word, F word. We ain't know no better. Middle school kids with no filter, however. I had to be very mindful of my good cousin. I knew exactly who he was, but I still loved him. The dead naming of Caitlyn Jenner is in reference to the time period being discussed. She came out in 2015, which was a big moment for trans visibility because of her history as an athlete / media figure. Kendrick's cousin transitioned before Caitlyn changed her name. Changed his gender before Bruce Jenner was certain, living his truth even if it meant see a surgeon. Here, Kendrick talks about how his relationship with his cousin changed as his ignorance of trans issues caused him to do a variety of offensive things like misgendering, dead naming, the F slur, etc. The use of these things in the narrative are deliberate to explain this. We didn't talk after a while. He seemed more distant, wasn't comfortable around me. Everything was offensive. Here we begin to learn about an event that happened at church. Kendrick explains that in spite of the church's negative view of LGBTQIA+ people, his cousin was still religious, more than the cishet people, showing us that he became more aware of the oppression his cousin faced. More spiritual. The preacher dead names Marianne and goes on to say that her sins were to blame for the ills of the world. Kendrick seeing his cousin accused of something so severe causes conflict within him, as he's aware his cousin's faith is still strong in spite of the bigotry she faces, which I found ironic because the pastor didn't see him the same. He said my cousin was going through some things. He promised the world we living in was an act of an abomination, and Demetrius was to blame. We assume at this point Kendrick has talked to Marianne about her religion, how it conflicts with her identity. Even still, because of her faith is so strong, she keeps her head down and stands firm in her convictions. Now we approach the apex of the song. The preacher goes on to out Marianne and Kendrick's uncle to the entire church. Kendrick realizes how wrong the preacher's condemnation is on a humanitarian level, as well as how it contradicts the teaching of their religion, which provokes him to confront the preacher. Demetrius is Marianne now. Church's auntie is a man now. It hurt he the most because his belief was close to his words, forcing me to stand now. Kendrick tells the preacher about how his denunciation of his two trans family members contradicts with the church's teachings. He goes fucking, debate mode on the preacher's ass while he emphasizes with how people's religious upbringing informs their bigoted views. He makes it clear they don't justify it. The laws of the land or the heart, what's greater? I recognize the study she was taught since birth, but that doesn't justify the feelings that my cousin preserved. Marianne thanks Kendrick for being a good ally and standing up for her. This is a profoundly powerful act, as the amount of social ramification he could have faced might have caused irreparable damage to his life, but his love for his trans family members was far more important. The building was thinking out loud, bad angel. That's when you looked at me and smiled, said thank you. The day I chose humanity over religion, the family got closer. It was all forgiven. He apologizes for his use of the F slur, even censoring it this time, and explains how his lack of education on LGBTQIA+ topics common in the U.S. led to his ignorance. Also explains how he previously taught how the intent with which you use the word was what made them harmful. I said them F-bombs. I ain't know any better. Mistakenly, I didn't think you'd know any different. See, I was taught words was nothing more than a sound if everything was pronounced without any intentions. Fast forwarding the narrative, Marianne recalls a 2018 show where Kendrick brought a white audience member on stage to rap along Mad City, where she went on to rap the song verbatim, saying the N-word. He got offended and cut her off, telling her to bleep the word. Very second, you challenged the shit I was kicking, reminding me about a show I did out the city, that a time when I brung a fan on stage to rap, but disapproved the word that she couldn't say with me. Marianne uses to help Kendrick understand how the use of the F slur affects her by flipping the script on him. This helps him understand his own hypocrisy, being straight while saying the slur, while not thinking it's okay for a white person to say the N-word in a song. Most people who aren't wild about this kind of stuff mostly don't care that he used the word. They care about him making it the chorus of the song and using it so many times the first time. He does. It explains the point. Yeah, I know. I remember. We watched it on stream. The moment that the white girl is like brought up on stage. You say, Kendrick, ain't no room for contradiction. To truly understand love, switch position. F word, F word, F word. We can say it together, but only if you let a white girl say the N word. This is a very powerful way for Kendrick in the current day through his song to explain how homophobia and transphobia have real world impacts on people in the same way that racism has had impacts on himself. This is not to draw equivalencies, but rather explain intersectionality. Exactly. This is the most powerful message. And this message is not for, once again, trans people. This message is for cis people. This message is for people who are transphobic. This message is for people in his community and people in communities beyond his community that listen to him, that see him as a cultural leader. And it is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to basically describe like an incredibly personal story, his own personal experience with it's a cishet dominant narrative. The framework, the lens that Kendrick Lamar is using to describe transphobia is, of course, from the lens of a cishet guy. Okay, growing up in a community that has relatively conservative, sometimes a lot of reactionary attitudes about trans people and trans existence and gay people and gay existence. Okay. But that's why a lot of people get upset at it. A lot of people that are LGBT might get upset at this because like it's not centering their experience, but that's because it's not for you. Okay? It's not for you. This is his truth. And it's for people who are transphobic, okay? It's a message for people, the broader majority of the population that do have transphobic ideas. And he ends it up with like he ties it back to an intersectionality message, like an intersectionalist message, to showcase to especially members in the black community that listen to him that like, you know, this kind of oppression and this kind of struggle is not all that different. And of course, he does this without being a fucking backpack rapper too. So there's that. This might sound radlib, but what sucks is that people like that white girl won't catch any of that and will say the F word even though they probably already saying it. Wait, what? Of course, this is like, I don't know, man. You have people who have like all of the opportunity on the planet to not be fucking reactionary shitheads who desperately seek out information that corresponds to their fucking preconceived notions and biases, right? Despite how fortunate their beginnings are, or despite how fortunate they have become. J.K. Rowling comes to mind, okay? You're a whole ass, like, educated, billionaire fucking white woman, okay? You had every opportunity not to be a transphobic piece of shit, but you still purposely chose to, instead of lean into that and like search for deeper meaning, maybe comprehend why you had these kinds of opinions, engage in some self-reflection, some self-criticism, and then not be a transphobic piece of shit. You were like, nah, fuck that. I'm going to use my platform to be a piece of a monster, a piece of shit monster, a horrifying person, right? On the other hand, you have someone like Kendrick Lamar who, through his personal experiences and his personal background and upbringing, growing up in a probably more transphobic community, in a more homophobic community, recognizing his wrongs and putting it out there for people to listen to and maybe even engage in some self-reflection and re-examination. And people want to be fucking mad at that. And I'm sorry, like, I get it. I understand. Kendrick's views on these issues seem to be informed in a big way with the fact that he has LGBTQIA family members. This is often a powerful way for people to learn about the oppression people whose identities don't share affect them. This is why the current war on women, Roe v. Wade, LGBTQIA, don't say gay, black and brown people, CRT, being waged by conservative centers around education. The right wants to stop people from being able to have experiences like the one Kendrick had. This stops people knowing they're oppressed and stops allies from standing with them. Intersectional leftism is the only way to liberate us all. Only solidarity. What BW? All marginalized people and allies. What is BW? I don't care about Kendrick unless he make a song about atheist oppression. Yeah, what the fuck, dude? Actually, you're right. I was specifically talking about Craig Jenkins. He's very well respected in the industry. Oh, Craig probably is in here. He's a friend of the show. Not some hack trying to get liberals to also agree with my cultural issues for clicks. All I was trying to say is that I don't think it's correct to generalize anyone who's against the usage of the F slur or someone trying to do that. Are you aware of the relationship between black men and women? Trust me, it's coming from a place of privilege that I've seen with criticism. Black women, black queers have legitimate concerns with the shit that he says. Wait, what? I have tried to describe this once again There's a lot to unpack about Auntie Diaries. This retweet is my first response, and I think it's the song should primarily be interpreted as Auntie Diaries ain't gonna push everyone further to the left, but for the people who relate to Kendrick's experience, it absolutely will. For those who it doesn't, it's a conversation starter. That track is introducing something to mainstream hip hop that wasn't there before. Exactly. I think people have the tendency to regularly think that like the world needs to be starting at the cultural endpoint that you've arrived at. Conversations don't occur like that. There is a slow burn. There is a delicate balance that you have to strike. And I think a lot of people, like well-intentioned people, want conversations to start exactly at the point that you're already at, but you don't ever think about like all the fucking steps that you took along the way to get there. And I think Kendrick Lamar, like you need to analyze Kendrick Lamar's attitude here with the culture that he's coming from. There is no singular rapper at his level, okay, at his level that has ever come out with such a fucking message like this, as far as I can recall. Okay, you can tell me like there are other rappers who are like, you know, trans allies and whatnot, but none of them are Kendrick fucking Lamar. Part of the reason why is because Kendrick fucking Lamar is a singular force of profound importance. Okay, am I a rad lib for thinking that Uber charitably can sometimes get a little annoying? It's not a flaw allies have, and I want to learn that myself, but I'm more considerate towards marginalized voices when they complain about someone's art being a certain way. Then I find myself wanting to listen to their views on the then allies who have constantly tell them to grow like they're a plant or something, but maybe I'm wrong here. Bro, I'm sorry. Unless you're fucking Kendrick Lamar, I don't want to hear about how your song would be better, okay? You're not even fucking G-Eazy, and you're over here being like, Kendrick Lamar should have like sanitized this fucking song. No, dude, that's his art. You can't, that's not you. Like, you can't say that. Like, are you Kendrick Lamar? You're not even fucking Machine Gun Kelly, and you're over here being like, oh, Kendrick Lamar should have changed the lyrics. Like, shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Painting nails, that's kind of gay. You fucking got me, dude. I'm gay as fuck, dude. I fucked your dad, okay? I fucked your dad in the ass, bitch. You could also argue that censoring the word in the context would be effectively buffing out the harsh reality of what it is to grow up in a transphobic environment. Again, it's not for you, okay? If you are offended by the usage of the F slur there, it's not for you. It is literally not meant for you. It's his own reality, and it's meant for people who have similar realities, who are you know, who have had similar experiences. It's meant for people to like maybe change their own or reflect on their own attitudes. That said, it's important to remember that cis men, we are outsiders of the experience and thus can't dictate that trans people respond to our intentions versus our impact. I think Kendrick wanted to explicitly engage with his peers around this experience of confusion and the clumsiness of growth, and thus wanted to embody how this conversation would look between other cishet black men in a safe space. Yep. Boom. A space where the offensiveness of dead names and pronouns is not fully understood, but loyalty and family is. And that's the place he felt dudes would get unquestionably tactically effective, tactfully not so much. Oh man, FD signifier just popping the fuck off, dude. So good. So incredibly good. Yeah, that's it. Be wary of dismissing that. That is a privilege we have. Some black men scoff at the idea of having privilege. I've never worried about being misgendered. Remember the cringe of Macklemore's white privilege songs? Yeah, that's us. It's okay, though. That song wasn't really for black people. This song wasn't really for trans people. I think it's an important moment, but I won't be talking down any queer folks who are unimpressed. Also, just a point of reference in my experience, black queer elders, especially trans masks, are less concerned with pronouns. That's my experience, though. I don't think a white rapper doing something like this with the N-word would get this much backlash. Is interesting to me. What? Are you crazy? A white rapper doing something like this with the N-word would be fucking absolutely way more aggressively pounced on. But there's a reason for that, okay? Do you want to know why? First of all, a white rapper would definitely do this with the N-word, okay? But the reason why I would get fucking pounced on immediately is because the attitude in the black community towards trans people is not the fucking same as the attitude towards, like, in the white community towards, like, saying the N-word. Do you not understand that? Like, there is no fucking culturally appropriate circumstance now in 2022 where you can say the fucking N-word as a white person, okay? But the unfortunate reality is that the normative position for many places and many cultures, especially in like underserved neighborhoods and whatnot, is dropping the F-bomb is like a total normal thing, you know? You only have to, you must be living in a completely You must live in a completely sanitized and very safe environment to feel like that's not to feel like that's not so far beyond the pale. Okay? I assume that in the 1950s or whatever, a lot of non-racist white people actually said the N-word to other white people while trying to convey that saying the N-word would no longer be okay. White people as the dominant majority had to get other whites on board. The cultural awareness to say the N-word instead of using the slur didn't just pop into everyone's minds at once. Now Kendrick is educating cis breeders who've ignored the F slur. Yeah. I think so. And also the ultimate fucking point of the work of art itself literally revolves around like not saying the F word, like him recognizing that he shouldn't say it. And the reason why he is saying it, or the reason why he is dead naming in the process, is because like that's his, in that moment, that's his reality. If you are doing a movie about, you know, a trans person, you're gonna show that trans person pre-transition. Like, it's just like, if you get mad at that, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like, that's just, but that's your reality, and that's the reality of the trans person that is being depicted in that circumstance. Like, of course that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's the reality. It's how it is. And you know, I think it's good. The irony, of course, is that he's gonna get fucking blasted he's gonna get blasted by fucking radfems, radlibs that do not like that he's using the F word. And he's also going to, you and Kendrick the exact same. What is this? Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say. God damn it, you fucked me up. My parents are still coming to terms with me being trans. Yeah, it hurts that they just aren't there like every time I see them, but I recognize I need to move things along with them at a slower pace, because if I push too much or blow up on them, it's just more likely for them to just fall into rejecting everything entirely. Yeah, look, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's a fucking horrible, horrible thing to have to experience. And hopefully the next generation will not have to, okay? And part of that is on people like us, you know, people like myself who are privileged, who are cis, who are cisheads. Who can try to educate others into not high sex haverbilly. Can I say the F slur? Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. Can't believe you got the pass. Not the album art. This is okay. Stop, dude. The most important part about this is that Kendrick went from a Hotep influenced album to a trans ally pro vax album. Yeah. I feel like people don't understand that this isn't the type of music to listen to get hyped to, so it's not really going to create people to just repeatedly saying a F slur. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.